Okay, for the sake of the recording, today is Tuesday, November 18th, for our board meeting this month. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Excuse me. I tried to cram down some cheese to get me through dinner. Let's see. I'm going to share straight to. If somebody could confirm if you see my slide there.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, I'm gonna change my view so I can see you all. Okay. All right, so this little moment underneath the title is to let you know that we are still going to get this logo to you, but Elizabeth and I had a bit of a break because I was traveling for a few weeks and we had some tweaks to get to the designer. So it's still happening, it's still working, and I think with every little adjustment from feedback we've gotten, et cetera, it's coming along very nicely. So I just wanted to let you know that's the only news tonight. Unfortunately, we don't have a version to share quite yet, but I think with what we're getting from this next version, and if we can turn that around quickly, we'll have something to share very soon. So thank you for your patience on that. I think it's all good when we go into the depth that we need to make sure we've got what we need. Let's see, somebody's coming in here. Where's my participants screen? Okay. Oh, Sylvia's joining again. Okay. All right. So to get us started, here's the agenda for tonight. Oops, that's our mission. I just try to reiterate that so you'll have it in your file that you'll get. We'll do a quick check on the meeting minutes, make sure last time we captured things well and correctly from your perspective, and then talk a bit about start our idea generation for programs and events in the coming year. Can you believe it? We're going to be at 2026, not too far from it. Sorry. And then I mentioned about the member survey, which is one of the things that organizations like ours are they if we're doing any kind of grant requests, et cetera, they want to know that we're getting that kind of feedback. And the last one we did was in 2024. So I'd like to talk about topics that we might include in a member survey. We've got some update on what the group of three looked at in terms of the scholarship and what we think we can do near term and what we want to go toward long term. So we'll talk about that. The website requirements. Thank you for all for filling out that questionnaire. We'll talk about that. And then I've been doing the emails and just making my own decision of what we should include. And I really think as a board, we probably ought to have more integration of our thoughts about that. So I'm going to mention a couple topics I thought should be in the next email and then see what else from your perspective we ought to be covering for our members. And then talk about 2026 board meeting dates. Do we want to continue the cadence we've got? Do we want to shift it around, et cetera? So we can go ahead and plan out the year, and hopefully that helps you all as well as what we can bank on for our calendars. So first thing is our minutes from September 16th meeting. Thank you, Elizabeth, for getting those done and out to everybody. So you've all had a chance to look at those. Can I hear, is there anyone have a motion to approve those as we have received them?
I so move.
I heard Sanford first. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Nancy, I heard you second, and I saw Aaron's hand, so we have a third as well. Thank you. Is there any question or comments that we should consider that maybe didn't get shared prior to today? Anything from anyone? Okay, I'll count those as fine. So all in favor, say aye, please.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, great. Thank you very much. I think it's good that we know we have a really good record to look back on. I know I'm appreciating it because there's some things that we still talk about that it helps me to go back and see that history. So saying that, one of the things I want to work on this year is a better way to have documents available to share. Aaron's the one that asked me the other day, he says, oh, can I take a look at our bylaws? And I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't even shared those with those of you that just joined the board this year, and probably I didn't for those of you that joined last year. So you should have those in your hand. You should know what our charter is. You should know what the bylaws say and are. So hopefully you've all got that now. There, Sylvia, we see you now.
I'm sorry, it was on the wrong camera and I couldn't get first microphone work. So, but now everything is good.
Good, thank you. No worries, no worries. So talking first here about 2026, just a reminder that last time we did a little review of what we thought went well and what we thought could be improved in some fashion regarding our programs last year. So that's what this slide is, and we don't need to go back into that detail, but I think it's good for us to have that. We can refer back and say, are we addressing these things in some fashion? So as far as programs, on the plus side, folks thought they were well received. There was good attendance, good diversity of topics, good focus areas, etc. So what we want to keep in mind is, what does that mean for maybe what we want to do this coming year? Does it inform us one way or another? We did mention about trying to integrate the local community in our various events, especially barn dances we talked about, and how we schedule those. Nothing too much on the program side in terms of what we want to improve, but we'll see what we come up with as we think. So let's start with programs. Oops. I didn't mean to put that there. Let me go here. Okay. So program topics. A couple things on here that we brought up last time, this idea that the nation turns 250 years from the signing of the Declaration in 1776. And there are many historical organizations that are focusing on that, not just because there was activity in their area specific to that, but also just because of celebration of history. So I mentioned that because of that reason, and I'm going to share with you an opportunity we have Tennessee specific around that. I had started a thing last year of looking at, do we want to celebrate birthable artists? Perhaps have a program around that. And then oral history has come up from a few of us about, is there something we might do in terms of celebrating and try to maybe to gather more of our oral history, et cetera. And that came up in some of you all, what you were responding to in the survey. So I'll bring that up again. So let's do a little brainstorm. So there's these things that were on this list of considerations, and there may be others that I haven't captured here that previously have been brought up. So when you think of what you think you, as well as the audience, as well as what we ought to be paying attention to, what topics, and just blue sky thinking here, what topics do you think of would be good for us to possibly consider for a program?
Could we do so every year the cemetery in Oakland, in Atlanta, has during Halloween an event that's a fundraiser for them, but on specific graves, they have somebody there dressed in a clothes from the time and tell a story of their life. Could we do something on the houses around the loop, having somebody there dressed who knows the story of the house and tells the story in pretty authentic clothing and just have a tour?
So it's like this is a live event at a location, be it a house or one of our cemeteries.
Do like 5 houses or 3 houses and have a 2-hour event.
And we have a person in period clothing playing a character.
I think that would be really cool.
Telling story or history kind of thing. Okay.
Yeah, it might be a good weekend, maybe during the craft festival, craft weekend. A lot of people in Beersheba, a weekend where people are not from here come, and so we can tell them the story of Beersheba.
It's interesting you bring this up, Sylvia. We were asked 2 years ago from the Trails and Trilliums group. Yeah, they asked, could we have an open house with one of the homes if the family was willing to do so? That didn't happen. It was too close to the time for us to pursue it, but it was that kind of idea that they were asking about as well. So that's a good question and good idea for what might play out. And the cemetery thing I've been really getting into. I took a webinar recently about preservation, but also about how you can integrate it into your history program. So I've got some stuff around that as well. And they actually, the same organization does programs for organizations that have house museums. So in other words, if we had a house that had been given over to us, and we will take tours through, et cetera. We don't have that case, but as a temporary thing, an event thing, that's possible. Yeah. Cool.
I think the cemetery part of that really would be fascinating, living across the street from Armfield Cemetery. Knowing more about the families. Maybe we've done this years ago, but it would be interesting to bring some of that history back to life,
Yeah.
so to speak.
That was true. And all three, Hunawaddle, Armfield, and the Grace cemeteries have personages in them that are interesting. I mean, a number of them actually. We have, Leonard Tate is buried at Grace as one example. There's some folks at Hunawaddle that go back into the history of our people have been behind the historical association as well. So yeah, I agree.
This is an idea that just actually, I always have to credit my husband because he fills it in better than I did. But I took a brief walk with a ranger to the property that will be developed for the new part of the park. And she talked about the fact, maybe you all know this, about the red cockaded woodpecker that is very much endangered. You know about this, Andrew?
I've heard, yeah.
And that they're going to have an area that is, very unique for helping bring those back, and it's going to be right there to the side, sort of in a secluded area, but interesting things going on. And that sort of made us think about it might be time for an update of what's actually happening. She said that she thought things were really going to start cranking in April of 26. I don't know if that timeline is correct or not, but it's been a while since we had Aaron Reed come and talk to us about it. And maybe we could get someone from the state, maybe we could get some other folks, or even open it up to the entire community. I don't know how much the Beersheba community knows about what is going to happen. And maybe that's something we quote unquote sponsor as part of our community integration and embracing the old, the new, and the future.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. I had a document that showed, and Aaron, I think maybe Amanda shared this with me, that showed timeline of the expected construction, et cetera. I don't know how accurate it is now because I think it's almost a couple of years old at this point. There's probably an update.
I don't think they stuck to that very well.
Okay.
But that's what construction projects do, right?
Right.
Exactly. But yeah, it would be interesting to get that update. Plus, I think, was it maybe Ned Murray's email, the friends or somebody, or I saw about the woodpecker. I can't remember where, but it had come up in something I received.
Yeah, the friends kind of cross promoted some announcements by the state to help that woodpecker habitat up here, Savage Gulf. So
Cool.
that was, I don't know, maybe 6 weeks ago that it made the circuit.
I think you're right. Yeah. She was very, very, very excited about it. That was a real big deal.
Do you remember which ranger that was?
Jamie. Her name is Jamie. She's only been there for a short time. Fairly recently out of school. She was really excellent. Her area is the over Cedar Falls. What is that south? That entrance, that area of the park where you go into Cedar and Horsepound and that area.
Okay. Cool.
I like the idea of getting the community involved in the in that particular activity, and if we could talk, I guess, coordinate with the Park Service and possibly even have, I don't want to say hay rides, but some type of I'm gonna, for lack of a better word, hay rides of regular people in the community to come and just take the tour, Teresa, that you took to kind of give an idea, just a one-on-one from the ranger to residents here, to kind of get them excited about it, because it's like nobody sees the activity that's going on. Nobody, unless you're on the list that got that, time schedule, you just don't know what's going on. So I think that if we could pull off some type of an event at the new park entrance with, in coordination with the park rangers, and have some type of information um, circuit where, the residents are able to go and tour and things like that, then I think that would just be fantastic.
Yeah. I think there'd be a great deal of interest in that as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, I do too. I think that'd be great.
Cool.
Are there roads back through there? Have they built the roads?
Not real. I mean, the roads that were there originally, we went in behind the stone door, that last parking lot, the third
Yeah.
one, and then there's kind of a sort of a trail, and there were some other people in the group, and they said, "Oh, is this a trail we can use?" And she said, "Well, we don't tell people. We don't really talk about it. It's our property now, but we don't want. There's not a lot of development back here yet." So we went to see the lake, which I had no idea it was as big as it is, like
Mhm.
46 acres. Does that sound right? It's
Really?
huge. It's really
Wow.
big.
Yeah, I've
Big.
never seen it either.
Yeah.
It is large. Mhm.
And so, bringing in a lot of waterfowl, and I learned a lot about, according to her, what was hopefully would transpire. And I was really concerned about dark sky, keeping, hopefully not having big street lights everywhere, or what have you. And that's a little off the subject, but it was interesting to see and to go back in there with her.
Mhm.
Cool.
Yeah.
We went in there before it was part of the park, from our side, from 56 right to the lake, and at the lake there's a dam, so you can cross the dam, and from there you can pretty much get all the way over to Greta Falls. I mean, not to Greta Falls, to Stone Door. We
Yeah.
had taken our bicycles. There was no sign, no bicycle on this side, so we took
Mhm.
that.
So they're
Okay,
not
I've been-
roads, but there are paths where the nursery used for
Yeah.
stock
Yeah.
movement and things like that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes,
I've been
correct.
told, Billy Miller was telling me that they've actually poured some of the concrete pads for the RVs, and that Sequatchie Valley's back there working on power, and they're working on roads, and they're serving lunch to the workers. So there's
Wow.
definitely activity.
Mhm.
That's good to know.
This is a good one for us to capture. So there
Yeah.
could be a lot of different angles we could go at this, but that's a great idea. Let's
You
jump
know-
to anything else. What else is on your mind?
Do we know where the native Indian trail is back in there? That's historical too.
On the Backbone Road?
No, somewhere in the park. I thought the trail went through there because Klapper was looking for it in there. Isn't that right, Aaron? Did you go with you in there?
He didn't go with me, but he did publish, or he didn't publish. We have writing somewhere about the Chickamauga trace, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's supposed
Yeah.
to have gone through there.
Yeah, I can share that document with anybody that doesn't have it. It was what I have is when he went with Julie and Steve Blackwell, and also Joe Fosnock was on the excursion that I have a document on. I don't know if that's the one you're thinking of, Aaron, or not, but
Yeah, I don't know.
it's got photos and from their walkthrough, so we can pass that around to anybody that doesn't have it. But yeah, I think that is part of what he was documenting. Let me go ahead and point one out while you continue thinking. So I had this America 250 thing up here. One thing that Tennessee is doing that I just kind of put a reservation in for, it doesn't mean it's going to happen, but they have created this exhibit called our American Story Voices from Tennessee, referring to the history celebration that's coming up. And what you see here on the right are the panels of this exhibition, which is going to travel around the state. They have 3 sets of these. And I went ahead and did an inquiry. They're trying to find out what the interest is right now. And I put our hand up just in case to see if we would be a candidate or not. Now, we don't have a space in the museum where this kind of thing would work well. These panels are 6 foot tall by about 3.5 foot wide. But my thought was it might be a great community center thing as an opportunity. So that's just another idea, and a program can be built around that theme if we want to do it, or we could just have it available for a period of time as far as that goes. It doesn't have to be a program. So just throwing that out there as another idea. And then the other one I was going to share with you, I'll just jump down here, and I wish Susan was here because it's because of an email Susan had that I found a copy of in the back of the museum. I keep discovering things under piles of stuff that I found this. Ralph Thompson and Richard Chenoweth back in apparently 2014 presented a program, and I don't know if Sanford, if any of you all were around for this, talking about the base architecture of the original cottages. And this, what you're seeing here, and I'll share this document. I just got it from Jeremy Thompson, who is Ralph's son. Ralph Thompson is deceased now. He died actually, I think, just earlier this year. These are the drawings of the various cottages as what the base construction was, because we know these things are no longer just what they were. The Bass Cottage, which became the Turner Cottage, had a story added onto it, and even this here is Armfield's home on the top left, and of course, there's a lot more to that construction now in these days than there was. So I'm sharing this to say that that was long enough ago that something interesting might be to talk about the original construction of these buildings as opposed to what they are today, and how that was done, etc. It's not an area of expertise for me at all, and even to know how we might approach it, but we could work with. There's some expertise and around architecture in our community at this point that we might tap if we wanted to do this. So that's another idea.
Cool.
I like that one.
I do too. I think that's interesting.
Very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, going back, what other things? What pops into your mind?
I think I have Richard's posters from that presentation.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Yeah. If I can find them, I can certainly bring them and we can put them somewhere.
That'd be cool. Yeah, there was an email for Ralph, and Jeremy answered it because he still has access to his father's email. So it was just by chance that I was able to get a hold of him. So that's way before my time in Bersham, but for sure. Cool.
Andrew, I'm still kind of interested in that biography of Felix Grundy, the Grundy County. But do you remember that I tried to kind of bulldog this? A guy named Rod Heller, I think lives in Franklin and is a little older, wrote this biography of Felix Grundy, and I couldn't find him. I was the Franklin Historical Society kind of led me down one path, and the emails didn't work and the phone numbers didn't work. But then I saw something not too long ago. He was in the Nashville paper at some event. So he is still alive and he's here, but I just don't know how to get to him. Does anybody know a historian named Rod Heller who wrote a biography of Felix Grundy?
How do you spell his last name, Elizabeth?
Heller. And I think he's Roderick technically, but I understood that maybe he went by Rod. But we've got this book, and it's good, and that is a subject that's obviously relevant. So that's an idea, but it's just going to take some more digging to find this guy.
Who is Felix Grundy? Grundy County is named after him?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. He was a senator.
Could be interesting.
Yeah, and there's ties. What was I reading? Or someone I was speaking to not long ago, ties with Felix Grundy and some other history. I think that could be compelling. I just don't have it in my head. But
but there's so many people that have lived here for generations, and I just feel like this type of information somebody has it in their, you know, in their history or, verbal history or even written history. So, I mean, is there something that we could do like at the store where we could, ask, just have a flyer,
Yeah,
about certain things?
on this
People.
particular topic, I think it'd be really, really apropos to reach out to the Grundy County Historical Society.
Okay.
We could connect with some of the researchers there because they are bound to have things. I think Jean would definitely be a resource for what she has in the archives at the
Mhm.
county archives. So, if we wanted to really focus in on it, in addition to this biographer, there's some really good resources already in place. But I agree, Nancy, anytime we do one of these, hey, what do you know about this person or this activity or whatever?
Mhm.
Cool.
Elizabeth, with whom did you speak? Did you say in Williamson County?
Yes.
Was it Rick Warwick?
Theresa, I don't remember. I've probably still got the emails from my outreach. I don't remember his name because this has probably been 2 years ago, maybe, that I was working on this. And I had read something that Rod Heller had an association with like the Williamson County Historical Society, which is why I went that route to try to find him. But I don't remember that guy's name. So maybe we can all combine sources if we think we want to do this. I mean, it's just one of many ideas,
Yeah.
and I bet we can get to it.
I found his address pretty quickly. I think we can track him down.
Do you have an email address or just a physical address? I think
I mean, just a quick search, I found his physical address.
yeah.
But I can probably find the rest of it.
Right. The email address that I got from the guy at Williamson County didn't end up working.
Okay.
I too found the physical address. I suppose I could send him a good old fashioned letter. There is
Yeah.
that.
Well, if anybody knows Rick Warwick would know. He's the historian, Williamson County historian. He knows everything about everything.
Okay.
Ask him.
Then Andrew, there's always on the less cerebral side. Years ago, this probably predates you. There was a homes tour that I think was put on by the Historical Society. This is not a historical homes tour as much as it is. This is so fun. We have cocktails and we get to go see kind of what people's cottages look like. And I bet it's been at least 10 years since they did that. And I don't know, maybe it only been done once, but it's fairly early in our Beersheba tenure. But that's another idea. It's clearly on the more fun social side than the cerebral side. But
Yeah. No,
It seems
definitely
like I
cool.
remember that. And wasn't there an issue with, I don't know, I mean, maybe some things were missing from a
Oh,
house or something like that, and that may have been the last year for it.
Nancy, I didn't know that. John,
Uh,
do you know anything about
and
that?
I don't know that that's the case. I just feel like that I heard that somewhere in the distant
I
past.
hate hearing that.
Well, that sort of thing has been going on since the 70s. I mean, the White House got cleaned out of Brumby rockers and all kinds of stuff after tours. So it's it's
Maybe
tricky
we
thing.
don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But this goes back though to the idea that they had about having a tour where there is a person in the clothing or not, but that just gives an oral history of each house and not necessarily a physical tour.
That could be done on the porch, the front porch,
Yeah.
I
right?
would just say it could be
Yeah.
front porch gathering kind of thing.
Yeah. At each, however many houses participate, right?
Right. I didn't think of giving a tour of the house. I thought more about maybe even having talk about like Flossie. She can talk of her life, right? She's at the house, at the front porch, and talks of her life and how she met the senator. Those things. Just fun stories. Maybe 5 minutes. It shouldn't be that extremely long.
Mhm.
And just to give a little fun. It should be fun, interesting, fun. How the house was built, maybe. Yeah.
But it is a good opportunity for kind of a social element too. I know our historic area of Houston, instead of doing tours now, and maybe it was because of that kind of thing, they do a night of of you can go to anybody's porch and there's musicians playing or there's food and you just kind of go and sit a bit and then you go on to the next one kind of thing. So they stopped doing the in-house tours a few years ago. So there's various ways that can be done. And like you said, Sylvia, we tie in, telling you about it.
Yeah. So that sounds a bit like a fancy pub crawl, right?
It does. I like that.
It does. It does. You know what I just have to think, now that you said that, I think pub, I thought Hanks. What if we did a trivia night like Hanks, but it's Bersheba trivia?
There you go. There you go.
Yes, I thought that was a great idea. Trivia night. Do that one maybe at the community center or something. A lot of locals will know the answers.
Yeah.
If we could get them to come.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have some prizes. Maybe they'll show up.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
I'll
sure.
throw it down there. Why not? Okay. Okay. Anything else on the tip of your brain that we should record as ideas? We don't have to solidify things tonight. I just wanted to start gathering where our direction was going, and what we're thinking of. What have we been maybe not doing or touching on? That
How about doing something at the museum in summer, maybe outside, maybe have, I don't know if potluck is the right thing, but we could have a stew or something and people can come over and to look at the museum and there's just a gathering, some kind of gathering at the museum.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've got some issues inside that I'm not sure I want too many people on that floor right now, to be
Yeah.
honest. But yeah, I can appreciate that. And yeah, maybe we do an outside kind of front porch thing again, and invite folks.
That may, you keep. I'm gonna keep tying back to that to the tour, the pub crawl. But I mean, it could originate from the museum and be a walking tour, um, and or have golf carts or whatever, if that's needed and everything. But it could originate at the museum and then conclude at the museum, so that they've gone through all of the different um, homes that are being featured, and then wind up at the museum with with maybe cocktails and hors d'oeuvres or something like that. Um, Maybe even have a guest there. It would be great if we could get the author that did um, the biography, but
Yeah, I like that. It's make it a focal point
Hmm.
of the evening, and then it's just
You're
a way to
fading a
kind
bit,
of.
Andrew.
What's that?
You were fading a bit, I think.
Oh, I'm sorry. So if we did what Nancy's talking about, it gives it kind of becomes the focal location, if you will. And and perhaps we bring something out that we want to feature, uh, and it's a viewing and refreshments. And, if the tour goes around in groups, say, oh, did you see that thing did you hear that about the Turner Cottage, blah, blah, blah.
At the Oakland Cemetery, it's in groups. I think 15 people go, and every 15 minutes. So one is at one house,
Yeah.
group goes to the next, the other one goes to the one house.
Yeah.
And I think it'd be nice to have maybe drinks at the end, alcohol.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it before or everywhere. And then it might be nice just to have even, like I said, the gathering at the museum, maybe some music, maybe somebody local would play the guitar or
Yeah.
Albert Tom is a really good guitar player. John Tom. He
Mhm.
said he was a minute at The Voice. So
Wow.
yeah.
Okay.
I like it. Hmm.
I would vote that we call it a porch crawl.
Oh, porch crawl. I was thinking night at the museum.
Oh, clever.
That's good. So
Okay.
are you all thinking then how I'm trying to visualize how that would happen. So you're talking about a walking tour around Armfield Avenue. So it's going to it's going to be involved with taking a while. So are these things that you're seeing in lieu of our meetings at Grace Chapel, or are these things that are added on as like they're sort of like
That's good.
events?
Good question, Sanford. In my mind, we could see that either way. You know, maybe we, instead of three sitting in a room programs, one of those becomes a more interactive experience like this home tour idea, or
Yeah.
mix it up. I don't know. What do y'all think?
I think it replaces one of the in-person sitting in a room events.
Mhm.
I
That's
also
what.
need to do it when we have people in town. So like I said, Trails a Trillium is great,
Mhm.
or that might be really good.
Yeah, it
They
might
might
be.
be interested in that, right?
And it might be tricky to coordinate along with Trails and Trilliums. There's so much
Yeah.
that goes on that
Yeah,
weekend.
there's so much going on with
Yeah.
that. It'd be hard to do that.
Memorial weekend, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, it could be any one of our other. In fact, we'll come back and talk about timing for the summer, and maybe we get a sense of that. And then we need to distill the list down to the things we really want to hone in on. So I'll be sending this out. So do some more thinking. And when we come back together at the early part of the year, once we decide our first meeting, then we should really hunker down on what things we want to go into. I just wanted to make sure we got started with our thought process. What I did down here at the bottom of the slide, uh, the trend we've been doing since I've been in this spot is we've been doing one program a month, and then the annual meeting over the last 2 years becomes the fourth in August. So I want to get your impression. I threw down the 4 Saturday dates, so the 3 Saturday dates, so those months. But tell me how you feel about that. Do you like the number of them? Do you like the timing of it and that idea of one a month? Reactions, comments, either way.
I always want the meetings to be on the long weekends. And I haven't really looked at the dates for next year. Like, is your May 23rd Memorial Day? And could we do a Labor Day one? Kind of, those tend to be when we come up.
Yeah, so the May is Memorial Day weekend. The other two just are wherever, but it could more we could do more alignment with the holidays if that makes sense. The August 22nd is the Crafts Fair weekend, which tends to be a
Okay.
good date for that, but it could be later as well. That could be we could align that with Labor Day, which is a couple weeks later, as another idea.
I might like that personally, just schedule wise.
Others, how do you feel about that or the timing in general?
I think that I mean we have only 2 long weekends in the summertime. So I guess there will be a couple that are not during those long weekends. For the long weekends, we tend to have company in town, so I end up having to miss those times. So could be problematic for me, but not to say that it shouldn't be on those weekends. But just my thoughts about
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Yeah, and we also have family and friends that come up on the holidays and stuff. So, I mean, I guess that's kind of the downside. You want it to be on a time where there are going to be extra people in town, but at the same time that w we all are going to have people in town. So, I'm not sure how to kind of, from just a logistical standpoint, how to work around all of that to make sure that the burden is not, you know, on just one or two people, but shared.
Well, let me ask you this. The Saturday 4 o'clock, we came to what, 3 years ago? Um, John, you remember better than me, and you were running it before, but it's pretty much been on Saturdays for a long time, is my understanding. Um, it's not necessarily has to be, but I think what we're after is a time that is on a common day that people are available, but not like dinner or evening event stuff, and not perhaps at the better time of day for other things. So what do you think about that
Very
timing? Yeah, John.
meetings or just an annual meeting?
Oh, I'm just talking about the programs or meetings that we're
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I think 4 o'clock is, as you just noted, has been like before the dinner hour, but maybe after the bulk of the day. That, I mean, that seems to be a pretty good time, but people are also used to it. So
Yeah.
I don't think we should change that. I think the craft fair weekend has been a pretty good rule for the annual meeting too, and I kind of hate to change that. But the other weeks, I hear what people are saying. Stephanie's point about guests and Elizabeth's point about being there. I know I'm often have a bunch more family around me, and I have all these things pulling at me, and so busy weekends are not so great as far as having time for the historical society. Um, but that's just another perspective on it.
Sure. No, thank
That's
you.
a fair point. I mean, that's fine. I'll retract my holiday weekend. I take it back.
That's okay. I think, it's everybody's a little different. I mean, is whether you've got family, friends there or not, and it's maybe just a normal course of a weekend. Otherwise, I know for me it tends to be just so I want to hear y'all's feeling about that because you've got different situations. Well, my recommendation is maybe we look at we're not going to solidify anything tonight. I wanted to start the conversation again. Think a little bit more about that, and maybe we shift one to another holiday weekend like Labor Day weekend and keep a couple that are just random and see if that makes a difference. From what I recall, I don't have my numbers in front of me, but we did have slightly better participation in May with the holiday weekend, but it wasn't much different, to be honest, from the other two events. So that may or may not have a huge impact. In my opinion, it's really more the topic. Like when Michael Oliver, which was in June, spoke about the Civil War, that was a big crowd. I can't remember the numbers for the July where we had Michelle, Iva Michelle, and Joe Gray. But bottom line, I don't think we lacked this time. And I'm not giving myself credit or anything else, but I think we're capturing some good topics that are drawing people in. So we could look at this various ways as to why, right?
Andrew, I do have one more question. We
Could
couldn't
we
come
kind
out
of
Friday night for the songwriters night, but I heard it was just fantastic. And I'm wondering, is the clinic going to keep doing that? Will they kind of own songwriters nights, and will that?
Oh yeah.
Does
Yeah.
anybody
Well,
know?
yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking,
Yes.
yeah. I mean the clinic's definitely going to do it, and we're also talking about raising money for the rescue squad, and I'm talking about increasing the capacity and capability of the barn and trying to have more events. But I was going to ask, Andrew, have we ever kind of like formally set up a way to video meetings so that we could have programs available online later? Is that something?
No, it's a level of coordination technology. Somebody else will have to do
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I
Someone
just,
needs someone who likes to do that needs to just
yeah.
jump in and do it and get a tripod, I guess, and set that up.
Yeah, we've had a number of people say, speaking of the survey, the last time we did the survey, that was a big question from a number of people because some of our audience that's on the email distribution never comes to Birchba, but they've got some tie from the past, right? So they would love to either Zoom in or see a recording. Yeah. We have to make sure we have to get permissions, if we do that, but as long as that's secured, it just requires the management of the technology. Yeah. Okay, so I'll stop it there. I threw down the two kind of typical times frames for the barn dance as well. This year, July 4th is on a Saturday. So what I put there was the Friday, which because I don't think going the day after on Sunday, I don't know how well a barn dance might go off on a Sunday. I just don't know. So my thought was maybe we ought to do it Friday night, leading into the big holiday. So we can think about that further as well. But those are the dates I just predicted for that.
Sean, is the barn available?
Well, I haven't talked to John and I haven't talked to Tracy yet. So
Just
I need to
wondering.
check that out. Yeah, it's a good question. That's the important thing. And John, should I go to Tracy about that?
Uh, you were cut out for a moment. You mean about picking dates for the barn dance?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. She can put that on the calendar or whatever you want to do.
Okay.
Uh,
Thank you.
can I suggest? We're always trying to find more and better ways to integrate with the community, and it seems to be harder than we even feared it might be. What if we added a uh, like an element to the barn dance where we raise money for the rescue squad? And people up here love the rescue squad, and if we were able to for them, and some of the money raised could just be an outright gift from the historical society. I don't know how many people would show up because of it, but it would be some goodwill, and that would potentially be a very good thing.
Uh, it's a good point. And I think actually Sylvia, I think, was alluding to that the last time we talked about could we integrate something else that serves the community in some fashion or raises funds in one way or another.
Yeah, because right now, especially the summer barn dance is like it's a goofy party for the city people, is basically what it is.
Yeah.
And we need to do better, and I think we can.
I heard it's a lot about the music. Certain people they don't like and then they will not come. So that's what Audra said to me and Lynn, because I asked them how we can get more locals in there. It's crazy. We had this event just last weekend with the songwriters and they were amazing. And we told Bean, I mean, we told so many people, locals, and Sam, they made Sam Doc, he really forced him to come, kind of, and he loved it. He brought his wife, and he absolutely loved it. So I know he's gonna come back, and he's probably gonna come back for barn dances now too, because it's such a great time. So we just need to get some people in there who are connected with the
Yeah.
really local community,
Yeah.
who have a wonderful time. And I like your idea, John, about the rescue squad, because I mean, David Whitman, if he would come, makes a difference, right? And
Yeah,
usually
and it's the
all
kind
the
of thing where you have to eat the elephant one bite at a time. If you get David Whitman to come because he's real big in the rescue squad, you get Jackie Eubanks to come, he's real big in the fire squad, and you know, then other people see, oh well, it's pretty good and it raises money, and maybe we give them a chance to, if they want to say something about the rescue squad or tell us what they need, or maybe they auction off some cool shirts or something like that, and we raise some money and yeah, get them engaged.
So, not that I'm pushing a float in the 4th of July parade, but we had talked about having a float in the parade in order to advertise for the barn dance. But if the barn dance is on the Friday night and the parade is on the Saturday, then we're not gonna be able to do that. So, is there
Why not?
another?
we still should have a float.
Well, we can still have a float, but if the intent of the intent of the float was to advertise for the barn dance, then it just the days don't line up. But we can still have a float. So, what other ways can we get local people to the barn dance? So like you said that somebody drugged this guy to the songwriters thing and he loved it and he'll be back. But somebody drug him there. So it's like, how do we drag people to the barn dance?
We're going to table that question.
One
Okay.
one by
We could
one,
spend the next
one at
2 hours
a
and
Number
time.
3
one.
hours.
Okay. Okay.
But it's on the list. We've got to get to a few other things tonight. But yeah,
Okay.
Nancy, that's very true. And we talked some about that last time, various ways we might be able to go about it. So let's table it for just the moment if we could, or put it on our
Sure.
parking list. But yeah, the integration of a community fundraiser, fantastic event. Now, let me ask Theresa,
Mhm.
Sylvia, Aaron, if the band you heard last Barn Dance came back, do you think they'd be more excited?
I do.
I loved it.
It was a good band.
It's a
Yeah.
really, really good band.
Okay.
Mhm.
So, because if we
But
want them, I have to secure them now.
yes, that doesn't mean because I loved it, we loved it, that the locals would love it. I don't know. I just know I had Lynn over yesterday and she said she loves 80s music and they did a lot of them. So I talked about that and she was all
Yeah.
excited.
Okay.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
it's again one person at a time, right? To
Yeah.
try
Yeah.
Exactly.
That band can play pretty much anything, and they got people. Once a few people started coming, and then they started playing stuff people liked, and then
Yeah.
it
And those
blossomed, and then
those
and then my
young couples from the community came at the like halfway through the evening. I was surprised. I was like,
Mhm.
we're not going to get anybody else, but yeah.
Yeah, and then
They
our
came
niece
with
hurt the next day.
children.
Yeah.
Right,
I
they came
believe
with
Hunter and
children.
Bradley have already booked them for their nuptials this summer.
Oh, how fun.
Have they? That's great.
Is it at the barn?
Okay.
Uh,
Sorry, I'm going to move us along here.
Yes, it's at the barn. And in fact, you can always see what's at the barn if you go to bershababarn.com. There's a calendar page,
Okay.
and
Yeah,
you can see when barn dances are and weddings. And
you can crash a wedding or two if you like. Yeah.
yeah, well, the dogs do. Yeah.
That's funny.
Okay, I'm going to move us on to our next topic, the member survey. All I would like to do tonight, and I'm going to be tagging a few of you all to be on a task force for this, just be aware, is what do you want to know from the people we're encouraging to be it they on our distribution list or they're locals or whatever? What would you want to know, the people that we get this survey to, about what they think? Do you want to know what they think about our programs? Do you want feedback on the museum? What do you think we ought to ask about? I'm going to give us 5 minutes on this topic. So it's a speed dating opportunity here.
Do we
Any
have
questions?
previous surveys?
We do, and I can share that, but I don't want to stilt your thinking.
Oh, no, that's fine. That's
Yeah, but yes, we do.
One thing would be how to engage people to be interested in it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Why are they interested in historical society, Worship Springs Historical Society? What's their connection? What's their desire?
Okay.
Is this to go to our members? A member survey.
It's definitely going to go to those folks, but I'd like to get it to some other people to
Mhm.
say, if you've tell us what you know. Well, I don't want to tell you what it would be in it, but who else is a good question. Yeah. But think big picture. What would you like to know from any potential audience that we have?
I like what you started. What history do you know from Beersheba or about Beersheba?
What history do you know?
Yes, from the members, what they may know history about Beersheba, have stories to share.
Mhm.
Well, we can just say, do you have stories to share on Beersheba? And, would you consider sharing them?
Would that do it, Sylvia, for what you're thinking?
Yes. Thanks.
I'd like to know how they want to engage with us. So is it just receipt of an email, participation in a program, volunteering, board service, whatever? And then we can follow up.
Okay. Cool. Others? What else?
We can ask the question we had earlier about the best time. When is the best time? I mean, time, dates. We could try to get a little more information on that from the broader group.
For you to attend an activity or event?
Yep.
Okay.
Maybe what are they lacking or missing from the historical society? What's missing for them?
Cool. Anything else come to your mind at the moment?
the issue around membership and dues, which we've talked about that in years past, and do we want to bring back the pre-COVID program where we have a more structured thing? You know, you're a member for the year 2025 and 2026, and you pay a little bit of dues. It's de minimis, and um, are people willing to do that anymore? I've been a little interested in it, especially if we're going to start renovating the museum and we may need a revenue stream and we don't really have one. Andrew's got some ideas on grants, which is a great idea. But is there a willingness to go back to that old model? I don't know.
Is that something you asked the audience about, or you're just looking for discussion amongst us? Or
No, I was thinking about it, somehow asking the audience about it. Were you a former member before COVID? Were you a dues paying member? Maybe you introduced the question, yes or no. This is only if we think we might want to move there, or might need, said another way, might need to move to that model again, the way we used to do it.
okay.
Did they find
Now,
value in paying the dues? And what would allow them to feel value in paying dues?
Yeah, that's the
Of
question.
course, most, many of the people that care the most already are lifetime. And so they don't donate anything as far as annual dues. They might make gifts in honor of people or memory of them. But the number of people that actually might make an annual dues payment is like a couple of dozen, maybe.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much you'd expect them to pay annually, but it used to be, I think, $10, and we could do more. But then you might, if you're a dues payer, you might just think, well, I'll just pay lifetime, which brings up the point that, how much should a lifetime be? And should people who are lifetime and are pretty involved, shouldn't they maybe make a gift anyway? Shouldn't we have some sort of, annual ask just to remind people, hey, if you could send $50 even, that would be a great help.
That may absolutely be better than dues. Yes.
Yeah, I think dues are kind of old fashioned, and people get screwed up with taxes, and I don't know. A little.
Dues are a pain in the ass.
Yeah, thank you, John.
Yeah.
Maybe this is a subject to be tabled. This whole idea about revenue and dues or gifts or memorials or in honor of is a subject maybe for another meeting where we kind of flesh out some ideas and decide if we want to go that route.
Yeah, if we're going to return to that discussion, we need to dig into it.
I think we should return to that, and I think we should, that's part of your website or our website. It has to be much easier to donate. I'm not even a member. David is a lifetime member. I don't have a check with me. I don't even know how to pay. I want to go online and just pay. I'm happy
And we're
to
gonna
pay
talk about that shortly.
Yes. So, but I think what we talked before, if we do like an event where it starts in museum at end, that could be also an event where we ask for donations. That could be our fundraiser, fundraiser for the year. And then, to help renovate the museum, to do something for their locals, whatever you want to do with the money.
To do something tangible, I think would be really important.
Okay, so that's our 5 minutes on this topic. I will be sending you this, and I'll open up the door to say, think of other things you think we might want to ask the audience, so that as we get prepared for this at the beginning of the new calendar year, we can be inclusive of all the things we think the audience, without getting gargantuan about it, but the things we think would add value for us to know about our audience. So on the scholarship, I'm going to ask Theresa to give us an update from the conversation where we ended up for looking at a shift in this, and then where we see the short term versus the long term. So
we had a discussion the last meeting where where Susan, John, and I had done some very quick brainstorming, but had landed on the possibility of writing workshops to help students with that skill level. And maybe they were regular student age, and maybe they were adult students, or a mixture thereof. And we listened to your ideas and concerns, which were very valid, and went back after the meeting. I reached out to a couple of people to begin to try to figure out what the rest of the world thought about it. And I really only spoke with three: Allison Gower, Jessica Reed, who did teach high school at Grundy County High School previously, and Elizabeth Ferris, who is a guidance counselor there. The previous guidance counselor with whom we'd worked before had, I think, had a baby. And so she was gone, not working anymore. So here's some just off shotgun sort of ideas and thoughts that bubbled out of those conversations. They too asked, how do you get a critical mass of participants? And, as an organization, what can we do that's sustainable, or can we sustain something like a writing workshop? And then they talked about what other practical help students really need to be successful, like writing FAFSA applications, assistance applying for college. It was noted that they do offer some help with that at high school right now, but there may be some students who do need that benefit. Really liked everybody I spoke with, liked the idea of benefiting more than one student, finding something that had a broader appeal if possible. And then the guidance counselor and I had a nice discussion, and she said, no, we still need proficient writing skills. Yes, there's AI, but they don't, if they haven't developed critical thinking skills, if they can't think about context and understand content and write, we feel like that's really important for success as well. And she felt like there were some of the English teachers who were requiring essays and working with students one-on-one in writing. Now, I didn't speak to a teacher, but that just came from Elizabeth Ferris. And then, of course, everybody said, well, our students just need money. They do money for expenses. And that kind of went off the rails on it, ways that we could give money that outside of the realm of the Leonard Tate award or scholarship. And another idea was to offer grants for teachers themselves for continuing education programs during the summer, because with the new voucher program in Tennessee, some of that funding is not provided for teachers. And then that students do need further coaching to help them pass the application process, because there are not really very many schools that require that essay, but there are awards and scholarships out there that if they are so inclined, they need to be able to write and express themselves for. So the bottom line is, I think I think everybody would agree we need more research before we move ahead. And not only for ourselves and what we have the capacity to do, but delving more deeply into what the need really is and what our little mighty group could do to meet that need. And the thought is that we really need a bigger group than just the three of us to delve into it, if we feel like we still want to do that. So for now, perhaps we stay with the Leonard Tate Scholarship / Award Grant, whatever you want to call it. And then, Andrew, I'll pass it to you to talk about some updating and some work that we did on looking at the application.
Sure. So I think the idea is we don't want to just not do anything coming up into the new year. And I've already been contacted by the school saying, are you going to offer this again? But if we go ahead and at least do what we've done, then we're still assisting in this fashion, and then move on to something different once there's been more time to really delve into, is it this idea? Is it something differently connected to it, or whatever? So I have made some recommended adjustments to get us through this coming season. I have to provide this to the school in January. And I wanted to share this list and see if there's any heartburn about any of these things I'm recommending. So the overview document is where we say, here's what the Leonard Tate Scholarship is. And our award has been $1,300. It was $1,275, and then we went up $25 basically, or $1,250, I think it was. I'm recommending we bump it up a little bit more. Now, we don't have to, but I just feel like if we can, it makes more sense the way costs are at this time. So we would need to agree on that, being a budget thing. I do think, and this was big part of the heartburn I think some had when we came back to wanting to reevaluate this, is that why does it have to be a bursar per resident when we know we've got a limited audience, we've got a limited pool? So my recommendation is we take that out, but make a footnote that says we will give preference to a Bishop of Springs resident student who applies. We had problems last year with a candidate not completing the application. They just gave us some basic info and then threw a resume in, and that was a problem. So I put a note that would say you have to complete the whole thing to be considered. And the big part this individual left out was the essay that says, here's what I want to do with my life, basically. So we were missing a key component to be able to really evaluate. And then the other thing on that one is, I think Teresa, this was from you or from the group, is how do we find out what impact this has had? And so what if we say, hey, we're going to make contact with you during this first year and say, how did this money help you, or what impact did it have for you to have that scholarship, and see if we can get some kind of sense of did it have an impact for them to get this money towards them. So that's an addition I'm recommending we make too. In the application itself, we've been asking what the occupation is of the parents or guardian. I'm not sure there's really any reason we need to know that, to be honest. And I don't know why, if there was any thinking, John or anybody else that might know why we would ask that, but I just don't see a need for it personally. And then lastly, I put that we had down that the money would be paid to the educational institution. And that was part of a discussion where the thought was, if the school can divvy it out for them, well, we just haven't found anybody that's willing to do that. I mean, that's just not how they function. So we've been giving the check to the individual for the last few years. So I recommend we take that note out. Those are the changes I'm recommending. So let me just get your reactions. Anything that gives you heartburn as far as changing it in that way, or that you are glad we're changing it in that way. Let's start with the money thing. It is $200 difference from what we gave last year. We certainly don't have to. I'm just recommending if we would consider perhaps upping it even a little bit.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think we should up it more. And also, the logic of paying it directly was the idea we didn't want to interfere with money they were getting. So, like from the state, and I don't know how the various programs work, but what it was explained to me that if we give them, if we pay 2,000 to the school, then the state just pays 2,000 less. So we didn't really do anything but save the state some money. So
Okay.
that's why we moved to the cash to the kid program.
Oh, well, see, the document says the opposite. It says it'll go to the educational institution. So that's why I want to change it to what you're
Well,
saying.
yeah, the document's out of date. And by the way, the application and the overview, I wrote all that stuff about 8 years ago, and it absolutely needs updating and overhaul.
Well, it's been
And I don't
updated.
know why I put in the thing about people's occupations, but as we would say when I was a teenager, it seemed like a good idea at the time.
No, that's
Yeah.
okay. I've
Right.
updated this over each year over the last 3 years because we've talked about this every year. But that's one that I don't think we caught before. So thank you,
I
John.
have some questions here. So
Yeah.
this scholarship, is that for high school, for go and study afterwards,
This
for,
is for a graduating senior who is
okay,
going into some form of education following
could
school. It doesn't have to
grade
be
school,
college.
whatever to do, okay, and it's for 1 year. So if they get a scholarship and the studying is 3 years, they get it for 1 year only, or do they get it done for all 3 years?
It's a one-time gift for that graduating senior.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think of it as an award.
it is an award. Yeah.
Mhm.
Now, there are
I-
some of the organizations that do this. To your question, Sylvia, they say it's an annual gift while they're going to the college or to the organization. Yeah.
Do they have to prove that they really went there? They didn't just say, I go for a week, get the
Yeah,
money, and then leave,
what
or
we've done is wait till they start and then we provide it to them, just in case their world changes and they don't, go to any other educational institution. We've not had any guarantee beyond that, but I've kept up with the last two, Grace Spicer and Sam Parson, and they did start. They had already been there for a month at the time they received the check, so they don't get it before that point. Does that help? Little.
Yeah, I'm just curious how it works, right?
Yeah.
You can say, okay, you get 500 when you start, another 500 after the first semester, and maybe then 1,000 after you finish the first. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know,
yeah.
how
Yeah,
it.
there's a lot of ways this could be played around with. We've just done a one-time award at this point.
And Sylvia, to your point, I I really feel like that we need to stay in touch with these folks, and not just that it be all on you, Andrew. That part of it should be a stipulation that they report in mid-year, or that we have something that I mean, we want to know, we want them to be successful, and we want to know what's going on. In fact, I'd love to know what previous winners have done, where they are now, and what they would say about it, and what
Yeah,
if
did it
it's made
help
a
them?
difference.
Did they
Yeah,
finish it,
yeah.
just to do something to know what's
Well, that would be a
it had an
great
impact really or not,
a
right?
great other position for a board member to be a scholarship winner liaison, or
Yeah. I
so,
mean, that's something I would be interested in, definitely, in following up with them.
okay.
Mhm.
Well, let's keep that in mind. But I think at least touching base in the first year,
Mhm.
is well worthwhile. We've not done that
And
beyond just
maybe
casual communication. Yeah.
ask them if there's what else would they really need to be successful, if that's something which really helped them, or
Right.
just a question.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll note on removing the requirement for being a Birchville resident. I think that's good. I understand, from what we did last year, the footnote to preference will be given to someone who lives in Beersheba. I'm a little hesitant on that only because if someone is not from Beersheba, they may just neglect to apply if they see that and say, well, it's not going to go to me because I don't live in Beersheba. But I understand that we do want to give some preference, I think, or as preference go to who's worked the hardest for it, or who's got the best grades and track record.
And that's a
Uh,
good point, Stephanie. We may not need to say it. That can be our criteria for the award.
right, right.
Yeah, we could do that.
So if
It could
that
be a factor.
maybe would give less heartache to the person considering it, then maybe we just don't put the footnote.
Right.
I
Yes,
agree with
right.
that. Mhm.
But you have to be careful because it's hard to know if somebody has Bershba connections or not, because the way the addresses work and the way the mail's delivered is kind of goofy. So sometimes people that are in Bershba have an Altamont address or vice versa. I don't really understand how it all works.
And we still have the question in there
And
about
there
their
are people,
relationship to Beersheba Springs, so we would still gain that hopefully there, John, on that other
yeah,
application
yeah,
question.
because you definitely want to ask that, because they might have, spent most of their life there, and then they just moved over to Altamont for somebody to have a better job commute or something. You hate for the kid to miss out, even though they're a bit strongly connected.
Right. Totally agree. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you want to say the person has to be a Grundy County resident? Because if you have nothing in there, the person could apply for Nashville.
Well, we only communicate this through our own means as well as through the Grundy County High School. So I'd be pretty surprised if it went to someone else. But it's not that it couldn't be distributed elsewise. Um, and but and
We're
again,
not.
if they have ties to Beersheba, maybe, and like John said, they may have moved to Los Angeles, but they grew up 16 years in Beersheba. I don't know. It's just could be many things. That's a good question, though.
Andrew, I've got another question before we think about if we want to raise the dollar amount. What were our revenues this year? Does anybody know that? Sylvia, do you know that?
I could bring up Larry's report. Let me.
I don't have yet access, so no.
Okay. I mean, we probably ought to at least look at that before we up the scholarship.
Let's see if I can get this to open. Yeah, we need to get Sylvia fully set up still. So
And this whole revenue thing, I think we all need to kind of rethink everything about, who's donated and how much. Because if we're thinking of the historical society as a lot more than just history, but really delivering on the kind of the third point of the mission statement, then everybody on this call and elsewhere needs to be thinking about how to contribute some money so they can help us achieve integration with the community.
Mhm.
So typically our inflows and outflows are pretty close. It's kind of a break even thing. So I'm just talking historically, not from preference or how we work it. But that's been the case. This is the uh, the checking account, the active account versus the what we have here, which is you all may recall from the annual meeting. This is the account dedicated to the museum. That was a gift we got a few years ago, and the other is a separate CD, which is kind of the other basis account uh, for our work. So just to answer the question, was that Elizabeth? I think asked a question about.
I did. So if we take the scholarship award from 1250 to 2000, you can kind of see what that does to our annual. I mean,
Yeah,
this year we were, in the red, if you will, already at 1250 for the scholarship. I am totally agreeing that with expenses for students these days, they probably do need more money. Then the question becomes, can we sustain that? If you just look at this right now with our existing model, and this is why I raise these crazy things about dues or gifts or whatever we want to call them, then we really cannot increase the scholarship gift, right?
that is true. As we're going to continue to be depleting from now, what we aren't doing. We haven't for a long time asked for contributions, and when we agreed not to do member funds or dues, the idea was we would start doing more requests for offhand contributions. But to Sylvia's point, we don't have a good mode for that yet. You've got to fill out a form and send a check in, basically, which some people are still doing. We get random gifts off and on. Um, but
We can't count on the random gift.
we
We
can't count
probably
on the
need to
random gift.
stick for 20. If the high school's already asking you about this for 2026, then we may need to stick with 1250 this year until we finish the website design where we can accept donations and or decide together as a team how we're going to approach this giving idea.
I think, as John said, we need to have a bigger conversation about how do
Yeah.
we see going forward.
I
Yeah,
know
We
we may
want to
not have
build
time
that.
I
for
would
that.
like to think that the people on the board collectively would come up with $750. I would like to think that. I would certainly help with that.
If we all
Sure, I'd be
became
happy to
wealthy.
help if we want to do that. So it's a yes. I
I'm
just think we need to address these things. We don't often talk
Yeah.
about the financials, but I think that just being good stewards, we really need to.
I think we also need a revenue, something where we can get some revenue. Like we talked about t-shirts and the market is the I love BS, but I think we can have some historical society t-shirts when the new logo comes. We have the postcards, we can have some other marks. There could be some Christmas things for the Christmas tree, little ornaments, things.
Yeah.
And we can get more revenue if we can have that at the market. And then when the park opens, at the park, if we work with other vendors here, I think we can definitely, if it's attractive, people will buy it.
So let's make a note, and Elizabeth, if you'll help with this, that it needs to be an agenda item, that we have a separate conversation about our revenue base, et cetera. So how I would agree, why don't we just stick with where we are for this year, where we're trying to just kind of keep it going until we see what our longer term goal is for the scholarship anyhow, right? This may be a moot point in 6 months. So are you okay if we just stick with where we are? 1250?
Yeah.
I actually set Sam 1300, but I was only compensated for 1250, but it's okay.
I think it's splitting hairs a little bit, but I see both sides of the issue
Yeah, yeah. I do too. If I put my life membership in, it'll basically take care of that. So, okay.
Yeah,
Let's
but when we got to submit these grants, that which is a great idea to add revenue, then we're going to need to show our financials and show that we've got a little bit of fiscal responsibility behind this, right? That
do.
we're sort of, and so that's why I raise it. I agree these are not big dollars, but I do think we need to show kind of a history of paying attention to where we are financially.
You know, for grants, my experience is any foundation that's going to be giving you a grant is going to expect everybody on the board to be donating every
of
year.
course, of
Just
course.
Amen to that. And we just haven't asked. This is, again, why I keep raising this. And I think, like Andrew said, we're going to need to have results of a membership survey. So there are going to be a number of things that we probably need to do to be a little tighter. And I think this is one of them.
Okay. Are we okay with the rest of this if we keep the money amount the same, the items we've talked through the others? Any other thoughts about this? I'm going to send you all the documents showing the changes, so you'll have that after this. I didn't want to bring that whole thing up because it's a lot of reading. So you're going to get it. It's going to show the changes I'm recommending, which are these things. I'll take out the dollar amount one. And so you'll see that I don't have to submit it till January. So if there's anything else that comes up, we can certainly go into it. So because we're over time already, yes.
I, I, I feel like we're kind of missing an opportunity here. I mean, we just agreed that student expenses go up and everything, and we agreed that everybody on the board should be donating more money or whatnot. I mean, hell, I'll put in 250 to increase the scholarship. If a few more people would, and we don't have to do it here on the phone call, but I think we should shoot higher than just keeping it at 1250.
I'm happy to put in 252.
I'm happy to put in 250 also.
Well,
Just know
there we go.
we won't go backwards. So we're going to commit this for the future.
Okay. Well, thank you, ladies.
Yeah, happy to do it.
So we're saying we want to keep the 1500?
I think we're going to go to 2000 is what I'm hearing because we just kind of raised the difference. We just raised the delta.
Okay. Okay, I'm happy to do that. And you know, if you all want to just give the life amount,
Yeah.
that's 150. So, you know, but with a few of us doing that, we cover it as
That
well.
was my question. If that is that the current lifetime?
150, it is, yeah.
Which personally I think it's too low, but that's just me.
So let's add that. Well, that's something we should review as part of that whole conversation.
Yeah, it's been 150 for like
A
25 years.
Yeah, long time. Okay, I'll send you the document with these adjustments. We can keep a discussion online going if we need. I'm going to move us along and close out the call. Nothing new about the website project, except I'm going to share with you all the details of your input on the questionnaire. It was very interesting. But a lot of things mostly people agreed on. The only weird one was look and feel. I had comments when we're talking about what kind of look and feel, you know, words you would describe that you want to see on a website. It was soup to nuts. One person put sad, which I'm kind of not sure why we'd want a sad website look, but maybe it was a misconstrued question that I put in there. So I'll share that feedback because then we're going to see what other requirements we think we need. But that was really helpful. So thank you. I know I pushed you to do that questionnaire, and I appreciate you doing it. And I won't go into this email topics thing. I'll send you a note and of what I'm thinking we'll put in there. And if you have other things, we can do that. I'd like to get a message before the end of the year to our membership so they don't forget us since we don't have programs going on right now. And then I'm going to send this proposed list of dates for our board meetings next year. It's basically the same pattern that we did this year, but if we need to revisit that, we certainly can, as far as the way we've been going about these meetings. Okay. That's quick and dirty, I know. But I put too much on the agenda. Bottom line, we need some more time to flesh some of these things out. So I'll be more conscious of that as we go into into the new year. I may not see some of you till 2026. Who knows? But in that vein, if I don't see you, I hope your holidays are wonderful. Thanksgiving, Christmas, and whatever else you're celebrating in between. Ephraim does Hanukkah, so we do all of them. So, but also I hope to see as many of you as possible in Beersheba. I will be there. Just FYI for anyone who's around. We're driving back this Thursday and Friday, and we're going to stay through January 2. So if you're around, I hope that we'll see you and get to enjoy some visiting. And if not, do be safe and have a wonderful season. Okay.
And you too, Andrew.
Yeah, you
Thank
bet.
you.
Thanks a
Thank you.
bunch.
Thank you.
Thank
So
you.
much, Andrew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All your good
Bye.
work.
Bye.
Everyone.
Bye.